It's Giallo time! We are at the 50-year anniversary of the release of Sergio Martino's 1973 Giallo, Torso. I'm not really bringing anything new to the table by reviewing it Torso because it has been widely discussed and it is generally beloved. But if you want to hang out with me and listen to me talk Torso, stick around. Torso is also known as carnal violence or the body's bare traces of carnal violence, both of which are great titles. It is directed by Sergio Martino and written by Sergio and Ernesto Gastaldi, who is a very, very well-known Giallo screenwriter. So I felt like that was worth mentioning because the story is so great. College girls are being murdered by a sex maniac in Perugia. The killer is strangling his victims and then mutilating their bodies. To get away from campus for a while, 4 female students retreat to an uncle's country villa. Like I said, this Giallo is really popular and really beloved. The cast features many familiar faces, so I'm not going to list them all out, but let me give a few shout outs. Luke Miranda. That guy is good looking. And I'm just starting to realize, okay, I'm seeing him in a few movies and he is actually darling. So he's here. We also have Conchita Iroldi. I don't know if I said that right. She's adorable in this movie. I hear a lot of people talking about her. A lot of people are crushing on her. She's also in Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, but I think she is very cute in Torso. And then we have Susie Kendall. She is a Giallo staple, but she's not exactly like that hot girl. She's something a little different. But as soon as she comes on screen and she starts talking and, you know, doing her thing, she's very alluring and charming. This film's really badass. We've all said this before. It is kind of like a proto-slasher. It's heavy on the horror elements, and I really like that. Some other things I like about this film: the girls' trip. I love a retreat. I love a girls' trip. Really like a friends' trip in general. I love. It's like a sleepover vibe. One of my favorites, and I like this idea of retreating into a remote location where you think you'll be safer, but are you really? Because now you're in a remote location. So now we have that feeling of being stranded, which is so great. So within this circle of 4 girls, I feel like you could really feel the friendship between Danny, the rich girl, and Jane, which is Susie Kendall's character. And the other 2 people in this group are an interracial lesbian couple, which I'm glad for the representation. However, it's probably more about fetishization than representation, but let's just go with it. The lesbian couple, their names are Ursula and Katya. Did you know that? Did you remember that? Probably not, because they are incredibly flat characters with hardly any lines. Did they have lines at all? This is kind of a criticism from me, but while you could feel the friendship between Danny and Jane, with Katya and Ursula, it's like they're just there. And as for their love scenes, where they are staring into each other's eyes, getting ready to do it, they look absolutely dead inside. Did anyone else notice that? They look like they hate living. They're beautiful. All 4 of them are beautiful. But the chemistry between the couple was utterly non-existent. Other than that, though, I don't really have anything bad to say about this film, except for the fact that Jane's choice of shoes when she had a sprained ankle were high heels. House shoes, by the way. Let's go for the high heels. Yeah, good idea. Anyway, besides the fact that some of the gal pals are somewhat flat characters, they all look beautiful together, and there are some nice, like I said before, slumber party kind of moments where they're just having fun. There's plenty of eye candy in this movie. It is not just the beautiful people, but it's also, you know, the interiors, the fashion, the landscapes. The town center in Perugia, where we start off. Did I say that right? Perugia? Shoot. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, I would love to visit. And then the villa that they relocate to is also so lovely. We also have this beautiful, breezy and light soundtrack by Guido and Maurizio Maurizio De Angelis. So I just recently got Torso on Blu-ray, and after revisiting it, it's a lot less sleazy and brutal than I remember, but I did watch Torso very early on in my Giallo journey. It's still plenty sleazy and plenty brutal, but it's a lot more watchable than I remember. I also realized that this film and its plot are not very complex. It's kind of a straightforward movie, but I think that's kind of a good thing because you aren't having to like overthink things or overinterpret things while you're watching it. And then for me, like, I'm just not the most deductive kind of person, but a lot of times when a Giallo is over, I'm like, okay, I think I get it. But this one, it's not like that. This one, you get it. Like, there's no unanswered questions. You're not going like, did I understand everything that happened? No, it's just, boom, here's the ending. This is what happened. And I appreciate that. And only a handful of characters are introduced in this movie, so you're not like trying to analyze everyone, trying to figure out who the killer is. There's just a few options. And because of that, like, that's why I say this is kind of simplistic, but that's not really a bad thing. So I'd say in that way, this is a great beginner Giallo, as long as you are prepared for like the sleaze and the violence that you may not be used to. I'd say like plot-wise, this is a great beginner Giallo. Now, without giving away too much, this is a spoiler-free review. There is a moment in the movie where things really kick into high gear and it's like it switches to horror on full blast. It's very effectively nightmarish and the tension is very high. Like, the fear is palpable, which makes it stand out amongst other Gialli. The film manages to instill in the audience too that sense of fear and terror. Our killer in this movie is scary. He's not goofy, he is just straight up scary, like in true slasher movie style. And it offers something a little bit different. It's not a killer in a fedora and a trench coat. It's got a new look. And this killer really is a sex maniac. Shout out to the beautiful scene in the blue misty woods featuring the killer. That is iconic. And this killer has very slow and calculated moves. They're very strategic, which makes them all the more scary. Torso offers a lot. Fear, thrills, and chills. Plenty of beautiful things and people to look at, all atop some lovely melodies. Not too simple, not too complex. Torso is a well-balanced Giallo and a great example of the genre in my opinion. I'm also formulating a checklist of like Giallo tropes, I guess. So here's some things you'll find in Torso. A rhythmic 70s dancing. Tear off clothing. Strangulations that last only 3 seconds. J&B. Childhood trauma. Threatening phone calls. Close-up shots of the eyes. Alcohol being used as medicine. Lesbian couple or stereotypical gay person. And a climactic man fight. If all of these things sound good to you and you haven't seen Torso yet, get on it. If you have seen Torso, let me know what you think. Thanks for stopping by. Follow me on Letterboxd, join our Giallo Discord, join Gialloholics group on Facebook. Everything is down below. And finally, as I'm filming this, the news just came out that Ruggero Deodato has just passed away. Director of Cannibal Holocaust, Cut and Run, Dial Help, Phantom of Death, and several others. You'll know him. Well, he has just passed away. So, rest in peace. He will always be remembered. Always. It's just like a really strange time that we live in right now to be fans of these 60s and 70s films, because that generation is getting on up there in age. So we're having to say goodbye to some of these figures every few months, you know? But such is life. Rest in peace, Deodato. Deodato? Oh God. And that's all I got. Ciao for now.